Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Leonard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Today, we're thrilled to welcome a true powerhouse in St. Augustine real estate, Kate Mitchell, with 3 decades of experience and a keen eye for design, staging, and high-end real estate investments. Kate has watched this historic area evolve into a highly coveted market. From her journey in renovation design to her insights on luxury property marketing, Kate's expertise continues to transform homes and lives. Join us as we uncover her story and gain invaluable advice for both seasoned investors and those just starting out in this one-of-a-kind city. Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It's great to have you. So, what first sparked your interest in real estate, and how did your design and staging background shape the approach you bring to clients today?
So I came to St. Augustine a little over 30 years ago in my 20s. At that time, the market was strong for buying up properties that needed full renovations. And my partner and I at the time did that, and we made a career out of it. During that time, I was the one that did the design work and kind of helped plan the rehabs of the homes. So I learned with my, hands in all in
Mhm.
on the work. And I learned to navigate how to do the renovations, how to do them on a budget, how to do them, so that they were in a place where they were right for the market at the time. The value wise, you have to be careful. You have to watch what you do. You have to do it right so you don't overinvest. So I learned that valuable tool. And I also learned during that time that at times when the market wasn't so strong, I had to take a different approach and start doing other things, which is when I started my staging business. So I worked for several different investors and customers. And at that time, sometimes I even would live in a house if I needed to get it done quickly. That was in the early part of 2000, when the market crashed. So that was a way that I found that I actually had understanding naturally for. I found was a way to sail through that time when everybody else was very stressed out. And it was hard work, don't get me wrong, but because I enjoy doing that side of things, nothing really changed for me. I just kept going and enjoying
Definitely.
it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, not live to work to live or something like that. There's a saying
Yeah.
about that. Because
Yeah.
if you enjoy what you're doing, it's much more easier.
For
And
sure.
yeah,
Yes.
so, you began your career 30 years ago in St. Augustine, and what was it like? And what were some early projects that really fueled your passion for this business?
So the downtown historic market has always been my heart, and also small beach houses, the old mid-century um, block buildings. I've done several of those over the years, but starting out way back when, it was all about the downtown historic district and a little bit outside of that, but the general old St. Augustine area. And we have so much history here. At the time, there were so many houses that were just in ruins. And we got them literally for peanuts in the 1990s and early 2000s. And it was just so much fun to take them down to the studs, but maintain the integrity of the homes and be a part of history in a way. Watching how the town sort of started to rebuild at that time. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things I miss about the sleepiness of that period. It was
So we
really
all in Florida
dull.
nowadays.
Yeah, those were the days when we could have fire pits on the beach and just, surf all day. And it felt like a really sleepy small town. But at the same time, we always had the tourism. So as we started to renovate these old historic homes, some of them just, tiny cottages downtown. And there were a lot of us doing it at that time back then. But that's when we started seeing a lot of investors come to St. Augustine, and they wanted to buy them up and make them rental properties or use them as part-time second homes. And then, of course, later came the short-term rentals, first VRBO and then Airbnb. So that's been a big part of our town growing over the years, obviously, because we're tourist destination. But I will say one thing on that note, we still have a large percentage of locals that live downtown in the historic district, and we still know where to go. And that's, again, part of the appeal for the investors and the tourists. There still is this nice small town feeling, even though we're growing. We have better restaurants, and we're a little, I say we're on the map. Sometimes when a buyer calls me from the West Coast, I compare St. Augustine. I've spent a lot of time out in Santa Barbara over the years through my yoga experiences and surf culture and travel. And I say we're now sort of, I think, sort of the Santa Barbara of the East Coast.
I mean, just a little sidekick. You telling me like it is a historic district. I've been there so many times. I love St. Augustine. It's one of my favorite places. Me and my wife go
Oh,
take
that's
the kids
awesome.
for Nights of Lights, and you guys have some good steakhouses and other restaurants that unique restaurants like you would have in Miami or any major city. And compared to major cities, it's a smaller city town, and it's awesome
Right.
because you can walk it from restaurant to restaurant, literally in the same area. It's amazing.
Exactly.
You can get
Yeah,
all
the
the great.
infrastructure
Yeah,
is very small because it's the oldest city in the United States.
it is. It is. And now on getting back to business kind of way of that town, you said a historical district. Is there anything special you have to like maintain certain looks, or how does that work with permitting and rehab? Because you have a lot of
Absolutely.
experience in that.
Yeah, so right now I'm just about ready to close for the second time on an old historic church. We call it the Old Green Church on Saragossa. It's from 1918, so it's not 1800s, but it's old. And friends of mine actually own it. The previous owner was also a friend. So I've had a long history. I also renovated my first nicer house here, old house right around the corner 20 something, 25 years ago,
Wow.
probably with my partner. Yeah. And it's a unique situation with this one. The person the buyer is really nice guy from Jacksonville. The buyers now use it as sort of a second home. They love St. Augustine. They got married here, but they also rent it on short term. So it's RG1 zoning. It's a little bit closer to US1. So it has that special zoning. It's not as restricted, but it's literally one house outside of the historic district, getting back to
Oh,
your question. So it's like on the outskirts of the really protected HP or historic preservation area. But what's unique is all the buyers that have called me about this property over the last few months have said, what are the restrictions? And I've been able to tell them, well, I talked to Buddy down at the city, and he said, no problem, you can add a bath, you can do this. And the good thing is you're not restricted to color, which
that's
is
great.
why, yeah, I mean, it kind of has an old school historic green, exterior because it's such a special sweet property in the old town. But the new buyer was really happy to hear that, hey, but I can paint it pink if I want to, basically.
But there's some pink houses in St. Augustine, that's for sure.
Totally. Yes, exactly. And you got to love a nice salmon pink, that can
Yeah.
be actually a really good look. But in the actual historic area, we're not as strict. I have to say, I've spent a lot of time in Charleston, Savannah, which are similar. I think we're like sister cities in a
Mhm.
way in the Southeast, all very charming, old, you know.
Well, I like Savannah too. Oh.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like we're like a little pod of Savannah, we're kind of
Yeah.
that same vibe too. But I feel like they are much stricter, especially Charleston, I've had friends that had places there, lived there, and I've been kind of enthralled with their single houses. In fact, I designed one here that I didn't end up building, but if anybody wants a single house plan, I have one that I worked hard on. But they're very strict there as far as even, the windows still have to be wood, I could go on, but St. Augustine isn't quite as strict, but we definitely still in that historic preservation area, they keep an eye out and they maintain it for good reason,
I,
but
I, I
not too strict.
that's great. Good news and good news for investors, that it's not like
Exactly.
you can't do anything with it. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you've seen St. Augustine grow and evolve so much over the years. Um, how has the real estate market changed, and how have you adapted to your strategies to keep up with these shifts that have been going on?
So it's definitely changed. First of all, we have so many, there are more realtors, and there's a lot. When I say suburban sprawl in St. Augustine, it's compared to other cities, that's kind of silly, but because it is such a small infrastructure and you can only go out, so far, there's only so much space here because we're small. But that being said, we've seen lately in the last several years a lot more new construction, even close to town. And in fact, I'm involved in a lot of that, especially with modern new construction. I've sold literally at least probably a third of my sales have been in new construction, but they're houses built with integrity, in my opinion, that are somewhat affordable. So they're really appealing for investors or young local buyers that are looking for something close to town where they can still maintain the real quality old town lifestyle. But they have a price range, they have a budget, and especially for the investors coming, they're looking at their pro formas and they have to meet, their whatever percent their goal is. And these newer construction homes are actually selling at this point better or faster, I should just to keep it simple, than the little historic cottages because they're priced better. There's no deferred maintenance. They're ready to go.
No
And they're
flood
nice
zone.
looking. They've got style, but
Yeah,
tourists can come pay a little bit less based on the margins and still ride a bike into town.
that's
So
great.
that's a big part of the change that I've seen. And when I say they're selling faster than the historic properties, those properties are still selling, but during this turn in the market, they're selling more to second home buyers who do part-time rentals, not necessarily full investment.
Hmm. So you
That makes sense.
specialize a lot in like design and renovations. So can you share your favorite projects or two, or if you have any, and then what design elements make St. Augustine homes stand out?
So St. Augustine homes, I'm going to say as far as old St. Augustine, it really is the classic cottage look. We've got a lot of beautiful bungalows. I mean, we've all sorts of different styles, but what appeals to people the most that I find in St. Augustine is similar to, I'm going to go out on a limb and say to New Orleans, like the Cajun cottage, charming, colorful, fun. A lot of the properties I've renovated downtown, I'm not, we don't take ourselves too seriously here. And I think people like that style. I'm finding for sure that the younger generation, a lot of them also becoming investors pretty quickly, I'm seeing, which is cool. They love mid-century design and modern design, 100%. And it's really been interesting to watch that blend in to the oldest city. But
Hmm.
it's really seamlessly blending in. And I feel like even downtown, the properties, some of them they could be turn of the century, but some of the, I'm going to say, kind of hit in the know designers are giving them a modern spin. and I don't mind it. I love the old houses. I like to maintain the really important qualities. Like if they've got Dutch wood clad siding, keep it. Whatever you have to do, repair it. Don't slap, you know, um, a
Water
faux
sliding.
substance
Yeah.
over. Yeah, if you can renovate old holes, but old wormhole floors, go ahead and do it, even if you have to caulk and paint. I'm big on that. But at the same time, I think in our town, there's a nice blend going on between history and, you know, contemporary. And I
Any
like
fa-
it.
any favorite projects you had going on that you could talk about or share with us?
Yeah, so my most recent renovation I did with my partner Danielle, we bought actually what is now our office in St. Augustine Beach. It's the Sotheby's St. Augustine Beach. But we renovated an old, and I'll just throw in there, this is my second motor lodge. It's a little horseshoe shaped street right across from the Embassy Suites. If you remember the new hotel down in
Mhm.
St. Augustine Beach, right next to the pier,
Yep.
Salt Life. It's a happening little area. And the state park, I think, the most beautiful part of our city, the Anastasia State Park. You can walk right across the crosswalk. But this was an old 1940s motor lodge. And of all the properties I've renovated, the first one I did, 132 Anastasia Lodge, they're made out of solid Georgia brick block. So it's not concrete block. And again, built in the 40s. Such a history there and such a I guess also I should say one of the original neighborhoods built in St. Augustine Beach, other than some 1930s wood sided homes on the beach. So there wasn't a lot going on at the beach at that time. So these are historic old motor court houses. They're small. The first one I did, I made an Airbnb, fenced it completely in with an 8-foot fence and did a massive amount of tropical plants, plunge pool. At the time I was allowed to, things were a little less restrictive, and I was allowed to make a shed into a pool bath and
Mhm.
sort of day bedroom. So that was fun. I had all the hot tub, outdoor showers, awnings. One of my big design elements that has become my signature is using awnings, and I've done it for 20 years. So I like creating these spaces that I call sort of cabana style. So I did that when it was very successful, and I actually sold it at, I'm pretty sure it was the highest price per square foot, which wasn't a lot, but it was the highest price per square foot to date of anything I could find on the island. Um, and then we were able to buy this other one. And this one, it was beautifully placed right on A1A. So it was the front of the motor court. So we were able to get a variance. It sounds all fun and games, but it was a 2.5 year project. We did it, we pulled it off, and that's now our office. But it's just so much fun. And that was an example of adding, just keeping the traditional look to a 1940s old Georgia block building, but adding a little bit of a modern spin and giving it a new life. So those were my last two fun projects.
Sounds
I
like a
have
lot
to
of fun.
say. Yeah, and if you're in St. Augustine ever, you can
I'll have to
come
stop by for
come by the
sure.
beach. Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally is the first building that you come to when you come around the corner to St. Augustine Beach
It, is
from
it
town.
through that main bridge that goes from St. Augustine to the beach?
Yes, you go over the
Okay.
Bridge of Lions, head on down past the lighthouse. When you curve to the left around the corner, we're going to be the first building you come to.
I have to come visit you when I'm up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, let us know when you're coming. We'll have a happy hour for you.
Sounds like fun.
We
I
got a
usually,
great porch. We got a nice porch with even a little peep of the ocean view.
oh, that's awesome. You actually get
Yeah.
a peep of ocean. That is a
Yes,
great location then.
it is. It is for sure. Yeah. So anyway, that was a long-winded answer, but I'm going to say that those places have my heart. I've loved that motor court since I first came to St. Augustine. I wrote a story recently about the renovation and said, I'll never forget. I was living in Miami, and working in Miami at the time, even though I'm a Midwesterner. I had moved there for a job, and I was here at FA. They call it FA Surf Break, across the street in the state park. And I walked over by myself and walked around the loop, and all the houses were like old school style, run down. And I just remember saying to my partner, Todd, hey, you know what? This is really a cool development, or location, and I'm loving these little motor lodges. I'm so amazed by this, and I'm going to do something here one day. So I've done two so far. Anyway, back to you.
So, when advising clients, how do you help them decide between investing in a renovation versus purchasing something move-in ready?
That's a really, really good question. And I work with so many contractors because I've been in the property business and renovation business and design business. I know some of the best, I'm going to say I know the best contractors, even small contractors who know how to work through these complicated renovations, are very fair in their estimates. So I'm able to line up estimates if we need them and quickly determine what a renovation might cost. It all sometimes boils down, to be honest with you, what they want. And when I mentioned new construction earlier, I'm finding a lot more investors sort of understanding that because of the lack of deferred maintenance, this is a little bit better way to go for them, less headache. But when
Oh,
I do
definitely.
get, yeah, exactly. But I listen to my client, buyer, investor. I really listen, because if they love the old stuff, which I do too, I like it all. But if their heart is in a quaint little cottage that, represents the OG St. Augustine, if you will, then I'm there for it. And I'll work hard to find what it is they're looking for and walk them through that renovation. But more than that, find them the contractors, not find them, but provide them with the contractors, and subcontract, whatever it is that they need to get things done. And sometimes it's just somebody who, and at this point, I'm finding most of the houses, because we've grown, have been renovated from, they don't need a full renovation. They probably just need updating or cosmetic. And in those, on that respect, I have so many excellent finish carpenters, trim carpenters that I've worked with and known for years. So that's easy stuff. If that's what they want, I make it
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, sorry. I was just
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you make it happen for them. I mean, that's great. I think that that is phenomenal on your end, that you have this vast network of people that know how to renovate historic or non-historic buildings, because it's not easy.
Right.
On his, as you said, it's a 2-year project. Like
Yeah.
you get your
Yeah.
hands on a historic house, like, oh, I'm gonna make this amazing Airbnb or VRBO because it's really historic, it's really cool, and it's in the middle of the town, and then you're like, holy moly, what I have to jump through to get there. But if you have
Yeah.
someone on your side, like yourself,
Yeah.
Catherine, or Catherine's people, contractors, etc., those hurdles will be a lot easier to jump through,
Absolutely. And exactly. And more than that, the contractors also have the experience. So they know how to jump through hoops. They know how to reach the right people
to
and
get, yeah,
hit
get
things
permitting
head
done,
on.
inspections done, all that stuff,
Yeah,
accepted plans, etc.,
exactly.
etc. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
great.
We don't
So
want to wait for an email to come in next week. I'm all about, like, let's get right to it, cut through the red tape and get it done.
yeah, I like that mentality.
Yeah. You
So
learn, over the years. You
oh, for
learn.
sure, for sure. I'm one of those guys too. It's like just bang out the
Yeah.
phones until you get your
Let's go.
results.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you have to kind of stalk people, but
Exactly. Especially in our business. They're like, oh, it's
yeah,
again that realtor.
exactly.
It's like,
Her
yes.
again. Oh my God.
So they'll just like, okay, do this and this, and we'll pass you, and like, thank
Exactly.
you. You could have told me
Yep.
that like a week ago.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, knowing the ins and outs is definitely important with historic in the historic district and beyond, but
Yes. Marketing high-end and unique properties require a different approach. What strategies have you found most effective in reaching luxury buyers for your properties?
so honestly, I have found the sellers have been coming to me, which I really appreciate. Um, and the market, yeah, the market in general. And then of course, you sell one luxury property and you meet more people and all of that. But the luxury market has definitely grown. In fact, this year alone, I've sold the homes at the highest price point of my career. It's sort of fascinating, but it's not when you consider all of the other areas that our town is growing in. Um, and also the fact that it is so appealing here because the natural beauty and the surroundings, the waterfront properties, I mean, it's really hard to beat. And compared to other coastal communities, our values are still pretty reasonable, which makes it, yeah, not, I'm talking
No,
like
I'm not talking
New
Florida, but like
England,
compared to like
California.
California, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a way to come to a place and get everything you want for a quarter of the price of some of the other luxury destinations.
I agree with you. Amongst luxury destination, it is one of the most more affordable ones. I mean, coastal, maybe not,
Yeah.
but a place where you can find a. I know you guys have the boutique outlets outskirts where you could find high end brands. You could get luxury cars. You can get fine dining, white tablecloths, white glove service. You have amazing hotels, culture, and everything. For that, I think it is still priced well. Like
Yes, agreed. For
it's
not
not.
being close to a really big city
Yeah,
or like Miami or major
you
culture.
got Jacksonville, but it's totally different ball game in Jacksonville.
Yes, exactly.
It's not as I like it because it's quaint. It's
Yeah.
small and it's you could get high end small, so you actually know your neighbors probably. Like
Yes.
it's not like big city vibe
Yeah.
where I lived in Miami too, by the way, for 5 years, and I didn't know
Oh,
my
okay.
neighbors. And I lived in the same place for 2, 3 years at one point. I'm like, I had no idea. I
Yeah.
knew the guy at the front desk, and that's pretty much. And we had hundreds
Yeah.
of people living in the building,
Yeah.
like or
I mean,
thousands of
really,
people.
Miami is very cosmopolitan. I think it's like New York. I'm big on these comparisons, as you can see,
Yeah,
but it's like New York on the beach. When I lived
yeah.
in Miami, it was like I'm in New York on the beach.
Pretty much. I mean, it has the
Yeah.
skyscrapers and it's getting there in a hub. I
Yeah.
had a previous interview with a gentleman that's building um, a blockchain based sales business. And they're pretty
Oh,
big now. They sold Grant Cardone's house, for example.
oh, wow.
And he was just like, yeah, Miami's the new hub for all the technology and stuff, which is great. So Florida is a great destination. St. Johns County, number one, I think, still in education. So, and
Yes.
that's where St. Augustine is. That's another draw for families. Like
Yes.
you get great
Quality.
education, you get quality small town feel still, sort of.
Yeah.
You get your great restaurants and all that. It's
And
great.
some of the most beautiful beaches, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
in Florida or the East Coast in general, for
So
sure.
tell me, what's next in your real estate journey? Are there any new projects, design trends, or goals you're excited to explore?
Honestly, right now, I'm kind of in a groove that I like. Um, I'm also working with some other partners and real estate agents, and I'm enjoying branching out. We're in our new office at the beach, which is wonderful. And I'm still doing what I've always done. I work in all of the markets, a lot of investment real estate, a lot of new construction, a lot of high-end luxury sales too, but I like doing it all. So I'm going to continue to do that because it's always worked for me. And I do understand all of these multifaceted markets. And so I feel like that's kind of my strength. But going forward, yeah, I'm enjoying, I'm not going to lie, I'm enjoying listing the waterfront properties and just being in those spaces a majority of the time. it makes the job fun for sure. But
Well, that's
again, I equally like all ranges of real estate, and I put my heart into it. Doesn't matter if I'm selling $100,000 house or a $4 million house. I give them all 100% the same effort and heart always.
I know the smaller deals tend to be more complicated a lot of times than the bigger
Definitely.
ones.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Is it
It's true.
it's that person's last dime, basically, you know.
Yes.
You're dealing with
Yes.
that, it's a special kind of feeling and a special kind of thing that you have to do for them. It's you have to be really careful that they get, you know, they can yield the maximum out of it and be able to
Absolutely.
move along to their next project or next home. Um,
Yep.
you know, that's something that I always look for when we're helping
Mhm.
smaller sales or small purchases.
I agree. And in a nutshell, I guess you could say we're responsible for the biggest investment of most buyers' lives
Yep.
or sellers, and that's a serious thing to consider. So we've got to make sure we do right by them the very best we can, for sure.
That
Always.
that is always, it comes up almost on every single podcast, by the way, because this is,
Does
I
it?
think it's important, you know, and I like to bring it up.
Yeah.
How do you tell me, how do you stay connected with other communities or St. Augustine community and continue to keep up with the market there, you know, and how you reach out? You use social media or
I
there's
do.
events that you host. What do you do to stay in touch with everybody around there?
I do. Well, first of all, we are a kind of a smaller community. So I do get out and about. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not out, partying downtown and all the things like I used to. But I do keep in touch. Really, I believe in seeing people face to face, and I like to do that. Um, More than that, just with the real estate day-to-day work. I wouldn't say I'm big on social media, but I do keep up with it and I enjoy it. I keep up with and I follow other realtors and I like to follow what they're doing. I like to be because to me, it doesn't matter what brokerage you're with, we're all in it together. On that note, if I have an upcoming listing, I communicate, I share, I network anything I have going, anything I can with a majority of realtors I know, especially if I know they're working in that realm or they might have a buyer. I'm all about sharing and communicating really on a daily basis.
That's
And
great.
yeah, yeah, 100%. But yeah, I do social media. In fact, you know, I I found I feel it's a little saturated these days, but I will say still I have listed houses on social media and gotten and found a buyer and on day one. It's interesting and
That
it
is
does
great.
work. Yeah. So, but on the note, the general answer to your question is I would say I am a communicator more than anything else. Social media is just a secondary thing to that. Um, but it is nice to be connected to the whole real estate community there locally and globally with One Sotheby's. I mean, I've had referrals from out of the country, but it's such a nice way to be able to easily put things out there and
That is great.
communicate the details of what you're doing.
So, Kate, thank you so much for this fascinating dive into St. Augustine
Thank
market and
you.
history and all of that. For our listeners who want to connect with you, where can they find you on social media or wherever, you know, so they can connect with you? Tell me.
Honestly, on social media, it's pretty easy. I'm at Kate Mitchell Real Estate, just like it sounds. Mitchell with two L's. And then if you want to check my website, that's easy too. It's actually on my Instagram page, but it's katemitchell.one, all written out, no number one, word one, katemitchell.one sotheby'srealty.com.
Cool.
But if you find me on Instagram at Kate Mitchell Real Estate, it's probably all there. So, and you can message me, and I promise I will respond. My goal is always to respond to any buyer, not only as quickly as I can, but at the latest, like within an hour. I'm very, like, as I said, I'm big on communication, and I feel like that's been a big part of my success, not just in real estate, but with renovation design, owning yoga schools, all those things. I'm a communicator. So I'll be there. If you reach out to me, you're going to hear from me very quickly.
I'm sure Kate can hook you guys up with a GC if you need one as well. Kate, thank you again for coming on the show. It was a phenomenal experience. I can't wait to see it all cut and put together.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see you when you're in St. Augustine. And again, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.